Everyone, I'm Neha, and today I'm here with Leah Wang for another episode of Wired Up. Leah is a rising junior in high school from Massachusetts, and she developed an app called Dokchi, an app that teaches the South Korean game and is a WWDC Swift Student Challenge winner. Today we'll be learning more about her story and her goals. So without further ado, hi Leah, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Okay, so the first question that I wanted to ask you was like how you got into coding and STEM. Was it something you were always interested in, or was there like a specific moment in your life where you found it to be intriguing?
Yeah, so basically my entire family is in STEM. Like my dad is a software engineer and my sister codes in college. So it was kind of something that's always been in our bloodline. And I started coding at I think 12 and I started learning through a Khan Academy course. I started with languages like Python and Java, but I didn't really find anything that interesting. And so it wasn't until my freshman year of high school, I'd say, that I learned about my love of app development. And because I've always been into the idea of like creation, right?
Yeah.
But I've never been really handy with physical creation or just like other means like music or art. And so I learned that through languages like Swift or Dart and Flutter, you could create your own apps and you can like publish stuff on the App Store. And so I started learning online through courses on YouTube, and I started contacting people who were in app development in the industry, and I did some interviews, and I was learning about different ways that you could just educate yourself on this. And so I signed up for this free course called Code with Glossy. Some of you may know about that. And through there, I learned about how to do web development, and I also met a ton of people who also helped me in my app development journey. And then from there, I learned about the Swift Student Challenge, which I entered in my freshman year, and I was so fortunate to be able to win that, which from then has just elevated my love of creating apps through Swift.
That's really, really cool. So I guess what gets you excited about like STEM and like as a field? Is it more of the creation part, like the innovative part, or like the problem solving aspects of it, I guess?
I think that it's probably both, if not like everything in relation to STEM. I think that STEM is definitely a field that provides a lot of solutions to the problems in our world because like as we see like emerging AI, we're able to solve a lot of problems that humans previously weren't even able to comprehend. And also just the idea that we can all like create something that's our own. And it's kind of my form of art and the way that I express myself.
Mhm.
And I just think that it's super cool to learn about how the machines that we use every day work and then how we can use that to help other people.
That's really cool. So I guess going back to like your journey, how did you kind of get into that Khan Academy course, I guess? Like why did you start there? How was that experience? And what led you to apply to Code with Klossy?
For both of those, I think the biggest thing is that they were both free.
Mhm.
So I'm fortunate enough to have lived in a family that they're able to provide me with really great STEM education,
Mhm.
but there was nothing that felt meant really personal to me because it was all just based on what my family members were doing. And so through Khan Academy and Code with Klossy, they've kind of bridged that gap between what I see happen in my daily life and what I want to do. And so I've been able to, I think the reason what made me gravitate towards these sources of education is because they were providing this kind of personal but also free, accessible education on STEM. And it was also connecting me with this community of like-minded girls and also just this community of learners and people who just wanted to learn more about technology. And I think that it just, these companies and these organizations, they market themselves as really accessible to people who not only don't know anything about STEM, but just people who are just interested in the idea of learning about it. And so from that, I think it just interested me in getting to it because also these courses they encourage you to create your own projects while also teaching you about the fundamentals of these languages. And so I really like that idea of making it personal to myself, not only in my learning journey, but also with what I'm creating.
Yeah, definitely. So, how important is like a group or a community of girls with the same interests as you, like to pursue STEM to you? How important is that?
It's really, really important. It's one of the most important things, and it's one of the things that's kind of kept me in this field because I feel like it's really common knowledge right now, but STEM is very much s- ruled by men, and it's just there's not a lot of areas that are dedicated for like female spaces and spaces where women are able to amplify their own technological voices. And so by having that community that's founded by Code with Klossy and organizations like Girls Recode, we're able to just encourage a bunch of young girls and women who have this like emerging passion in STEM to just pursue that. And it
Mhm.
gives people a sense of motivation because they are establishing a community that's just keeping them motivated and encouraged to keep learning about STEM.
Yeah, totally. That's really well spoken. So let's just dive into your app, I guess. I think what you've done is super cool. Where'd you get that idea to create Dokji? And like how did you go about that, I guess? And we can get more into the specifics, but yeah, where'd you get that idea from?
Yeah, of course. So, in the month that WWDC, the Swift Team Challenge, is submitted, that's May. And so May is or it's upcoming to May, it's the AAPI Heritage Month.
Mhm.
And also at the same time that I was submitting it was also this time where there was this huge rise in anti-Asian hate and hate crimes. And so I thought to myself, how can I do something about this? Like me personally, what can I have as an individual, as an impact that I can create? And I wanted to take my culture, so my Korean heritage, given that I'm Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, but I'm half Korean, so I'm mostly Korean. And
Mhm.
I wanted to kind of desensitize that to everyone and just show people how even though you're not Korean, you could still enjoy Korean culture and you can still view Korean people as like not a threat or just like friends, even though you don't know them that well. And but then culture is a really great barrier that prevents people from being able to connect with people who don't have their same culture. And so I decided, but I thought to myself, what do people all share? What is like commonality between us all? And so I thought everyone loves playing video games. Everyone loves playing games. So why don't I make a game of a piece of my culture that everyone else can enjoy without actually having to go and have this scary wall of intimidation that blocks them from actually engaging with my culture. And so I took the funnest part of my childhood and the biggest part of my culture that I feel like most people can enjoy, a game, Dakji, and I just transformed that into an app. And so my app not only teaches you how to create Dakji in real life, and also it educates people on what Dakji is, but it also has a virtual version within the app that I created using Gameplay Kit and Sprite Kit that allows you to play the actual game actually on a virtual device if you don't have access to creating it in person. And so not only can people figure out the experience as part of my culture just through the app, but they can also just learn about it and educate themselves.
That's really cool. I really like that the story behind it and the ability that you made it accessible to like other people that couldn't access it virtually. Was that what it was? That's really cool. So I guess I just wanted to get into how you were able to create that app. Like what was the app development process and like how did you develop it? And like did you face any hurdles through like, developing that app? It sounds pretty complicated or yeah, so just kind of could you elaborate on your app development story with that app?
Yeah, okay. So it was a lot of trial and error. It was really hard in the beginning because before WWDC, I actually didn't really know much about Swift.
Hmm.
But I started by watching YouTube tutorials and just learning, getting myself familiar with the language. And then from there, I would I started by wireframing, figuring out what I wanted this app to look like and also what features I wanted to have. And then I did specific research on those features. And so I spent maybe like 4 days on just learning what gameplay kit was and then how that would interact with Sprite and Kit and Swift UI itself. And
Hmm.
so I think just concentrating on so Swift is a really broad language. It provides
Yeah.
there's a lot of different kits and a lot of different aspects and things that you can put in your game. And so, or your app. And I think that the best way to learn Swift and how I learned Swift is by starting with making a generic app interface and then from there figuring out what kits you actually want to learn about and then just concentrating and just doing a lot of research and trial and error on those aspects and then combining them all at the end, which will all come together and be a really nice project.
That's really cool. So did you ever like find any like struggles with like really bad bugs or like things like that and feel really frustrated through the process? Because I personally have
Yes,
a lot.
for
So
sure, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And
Uh,
how did you kind of overcome that frustration, I guess?
I think that the biggest thing that you need to overcome the frustration is kind of just, well, it's different for everyone because everyone manages frustration differently. But for me, I think you just have to remind yourself why you started this and why like you want to like move past this because every time I get a bug, I'm like, should I quit? Should I stop doing computer science? But I think once you see just how far you've come and all the progress you've made, it just reminds you why you want to do this. And
Mhm.
so one of the biggest hurdles I faced when I was creating my app was when I was making the game part of it itself, because there's when I was experimenting with like hitboxes
Mhm.
and the way that one of the sprites would move across the screen, it would stop halfway and then it would just stop running. And so I consolidated with my family members and a lot of other people who I reached out to. And I think that you definitely should utilize your resources because not
Mhm.
you should not go through this journey alone.
Mhm.
Facing computer science is one of the biggest tasks I've had to do my entire life. And I
Mhm.
just think that it's better to do it with a community, which is why I reconsolidate with the people of Code Classy so much. But I think that the best way to overcome bugs is just to again, stay motivated and then just do your research and also just reach out for help.
Yeah, totally. So I guess moving from that, how was your application process for WW? Like, how was that process and how long did it take you to develop?
For me, I just coded the entire thing on Xcode and then there's a written prompt where you talk about like why you made the app and what features you used, and that's basically the only logistical thing on there. And
Mhm.
so everything else is just like your age, your region, all these just like
Yeah, yeah.
general knowledge stuff. And I mean, I just brainstormed the idea for why I wanted to make this app, and just the idea for the app was
Mhm.
already enough for me to just write in the prompt.
Mhm.
So I think I'm pretty sure I spent about a week coding the app, and then the application itself took under 30 minutes.
Mhm.
But I think once you figure out what idea you want to create for the app, then the application process just comes along the way.
So, how do you feel after you found out you were chosen as a scholar?
I really, in the beginning when I first submitted my app, I thought that I was like, I'm not gonna get chosen. I don't know why I did that. But I was actually almost given like some hints because I was contacted by some people from Apple. And
Mhm.
so I learned that people were actually interested in like learning more about my app, which gave me
Mhm.
a little bit of insight of
Yeah.
a potential future.
Mhm.
But after talking with some people and I learned that the Apple community actually really enjoyed my app. But I then again I still didn't expect to actually win. I just thought that oh they were just interested in my story.
Mhm.
But once I won, it was just really validating because it made me just think about like this could actually how like change some people's mindsets on like the Korean culture and it could engross some people in like my heritage.
Mhm.
But overall, I was just really excited to see like what it felt like to be part of the Swift community.
Yeah, totally. Like that seems like a very rewarding moment when you like get so much like validation input from other people about it. So that's really cool. How was I you said you didn't go to WWDC, but how was the PR event, I guess, that you went to and what types of things did you do at that?
So it was just kind of it was a really good experience
Mhm.
because I was able to meet a past Swift scholar and then a bunch of other people who have prominent apps on the App Store. Um and are just like I guess they were like frontiers in like the app creating community.
Mhm.
And I felt really inexperienced walking in there. I was really intimidated because everyone was older than me and
Mhm.
everyone had just been in the industry for such a long time. But
Yeah.
everyone there was so sweet, and everyone was just talking about just different things that they were interested in. And it really made me realize how diverse this like create app creating community is because everyone in there was doing something different, but we were all using the same language. And it was just reinforcing the great community that Apple provides, and not only that, but also just the computer science community.
Yeah, definitely. And did you ever end up meeting anybody significant like Tim Cook or Carly Claus?
Yeah, so kind of a separate event, but so
Mhm.
the I was in New York for 2 days, and then on the first day, I was invited to a kind of a PR event or for Code with Clossy, but it was a Code Clossy X Apple collaboration. And
Mhm.
so there I met Carly Kloss and Tim Cook, and I was actually able to talk with them both
That's really cool.
about my Swift Student Challenge submission.
Mhm.
And then on the second day was the Apple event, and I was able to reconvene with Tim Cook um,
Mhm.
for a second day. And I was just able to also just talk with a bunch of other people who were prominent in Apple.
Yeah.
And It was just a really great experience meeting them all because it's really inspiring to see people who I've looked up to and just like see on the internet doing all these crazy things and I see them in person. I'm like, oh, they're even cooler in person.
I know. Yeah, that's crazy. That's really cool that you got to meet them. So I guess what are your future plans with STEM and computer science? Like, do you see yourself continuing app development or game development or expanding your app or anything like that? What are your future goals with that?
Yeah, so for sure, I do have plans to continue computer science in college. Like I definitely want to pursue engineering or just um anything software development when I go to college. And then in terms of what I'm gonna do right in my near future, I am working on more game development and I'm getting into, I guess, I've been experimenting with AI along with AR and VR just
Mhm.
because I think that both of them have really great potential for game development and also in app development. I think that in the future, I'm probably going to publish a video game on the App Store,
Mhm.
but that's all tentative.
That's really cool though. That's a really cool goal, I guess, for you to have. Why are you so like intrigued by game development specifically, I guess?
I think that I'm really obsessed with game development because I think
Mhm.
it provides a very accessible platform for anyone to get into any sort of topic because I feel like everyone's lives are so diverse. Like we all do different things in our lives. And so sometimes there's not a lot to bond over and not a lot to connect with. But I
Mhm.
think that a universal thing is we all just like to have fun. And I personally see playing video games and having these like other games as a source of everyone can have fun in this one thing. You can centralize everyone's thoughts and sense of community in that. And
Mhm.
then also that you can introduce your own other interests that are outside of computer science
Mhm.
through your games. But that just having that game there and just having people play it is just making it really accessible for everyone and just makes everyone enjoy a niche that could be really specific to you.
Yeah, totally. So, if you had any advice to other girls looking to pursue STEM and computer science, what would you say?
I think the biggest piece of advice for anyone who's interested in pursuing computer science is that they should definitely just utilize and take advantage of their resources
Mhm.
because nowadays we're fortunate enough to have accessible resources, like accessible and free resources like Code with Clossy, and just a bunch of these created communities where
Mhm.
people can just find and consolidate like their interests. And so I think one of the most intimidating things about computer science as a field is that it's so diverse and there's so many different niches that you can go into. You can go into web development, app development, data science, all this stuff. And
Mhm.
so I think that through these free resources, people can figure out not only what they like, but then they can get educated in that. And
Mhm.
then just from there, your experience in computer science and your interest can just blossom, and then you can find a community based on what you enjoy. But the biggest thing is just starting and then taking advantage of what you can start for free.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool. So, overall, how was your journey and experience in like computer science? Like how would you I don't know, I don't want to say rate it, but like how did you feel about like your overall journey so far and why are you excited to continue?
I mean, if I'm gonna rate them, let's give it a 10 out of 10. But I think I lo absolutely love computer science. In the past like year or so, I've just fallen in love with it. And I definitely just see myself continuing it for as long as I can and also just promoting it to everyone to join it because I think that it just can enhance anyone's life if they wanted it to. And I think my journey's been really good given I've had a lot of support and I've had a lot of just really great experiences and met so many amazing people and just created such a great community for myself. But I definitely see it being a really significant playing a really significant role in anyone's life.
Yeah, totally. And you're also like only gonna be a junior in high school, which is crazy too, because you have so long, like you already have like started learning, you've already developed your own first like different various projects and stuff. So it's crazy you have like a whole future ahead of you, which is really cool. But yeah, do you have anything else to say to like the podcast or anything like that before we wrap it up?
Um, I think that's about it. I just think it's really cool that you're highlighting different roles in computer science. I think it's a really great community you're
Thank
fostering.
you. Thank you so much. I mean, I love like being able to create this community and being able to like bring those ideas out there. So, yeah, but thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate your time, and it's really an honor to have you here because of all your great achievements and everything you've been doing and everything you want to do in the future is super inspiring. Thank you to our audience for listening to Wired Up. Really appreciate all the support. But without further ado, we're going to sign off. Thank you for listening to Wired Up. We'll see you in the next episode.